Alrighty, so here we are at week 17, moving into week 18. And last night we had our last regular class and we had a discussion because I wanted to make sure everyone was clear about how this class ends as far as what you need to create. So last night I added some content to the Develop at 5. So a couple things, keep in mind, Develop at 5 will also, whatever score you get will also be posted for Develop at 4. If you remember back on that not too long ago, that decision we made. And that, depending on your topic, and I think at this point I've talked to everyone about this, but it's creating a CRUD API. And then in this case, adding some additional functionality, right? So beyond what Andrew showed in his task manager. And this, of course, where everyone has approached this differently, which is really okay with me. But more than anything, I just want you to understand your options, okay? So I've given in the last couple of weeks 3 different ways that you can approach this additional development, and how are you going to store your data. And the reason I say that, and this is a repeat, is when Andrew finished Task Manager, his user and his task were not related. And when you do your Develop at 5, you're going to have to think about this because your unique functionality needs to have, in some ways, considered the data. Okay, and how you're going to write some additional information, additional code for your unique functionality. And here's what the summary of what I put, just so you're clear. The one way you can do this is you can use one model for your user and your topic specific data. Okay. If you want a review of this, how I did it for mine, check out day 16 Learn Together, okay, for how I did this, right? Which is basically, instead of having 2 separate collections, I had 1. Okay. So, and I showed how to do that. Now, the other option, so that's option 1. Option 2 is use one model, but embed your topic data as a subdocument. Now, this got a little more involved because it changes, well, some of this does too, but this changes the way then your, maybe your read or your update endpoints have to reference that data. So if you want a review of that, check out day 17, last week's Learn Together. Okay, and again, for a video on how I did that. So the third option, and actually, it was a really good point Jared made in class last night. There's actually a 4th option I could talk about, and it's just really a way to connect your data besides what I've shown here, even as they're 2 separate models. Okay, so there is a path to do that. But at this point, here's where several of you are taking my option 3, which is set up your CRUD endpoints, right, for your whatever your user and selected topics are. Make sure you can read, create, update, and delete. And then what you can do as your additional functionality is actually work through section 11 and do authorization. And authorization is great to learn how to do. And you use JWT tokens in order to track the user being logged in. And you learn how to, and this is the key part, is you learn how to connect his users to his task so that you can see as you're working through this, how you could do that, right? And you will do that. Okay. So to be clear here, you don't have to code along. As a matter of fact, what I did is I took my concept that I had done for 1 and 2 and even before that, and I brought it up to where I had CRUD operations with 2 separate models, 2 collections, and then I just worked through section 12, and I didn't code along. I coded with my app to create that relationship and that authentication. Okay, so that's an option several of you have taken. So I just want to be clear. There's 3 different options here. And then the other thing is that if you choose, right, option 3, the authentication will be part of your code review. So make sure you know, not only work through it, but you spend some time understanding how this is working, how authentication works, how the relationship is created, and, you know, be able to talk about that when we go through your code review, right? So if you don't do option 3, then, right, then you're going to create that unique functionality, however you approach it. And again, I've talked to most of you to know what that looks like. Okay, so just want to be clear also, here's the schedule as far as signing up, and you can see right now we're getting there. So I think I only have one, maybe two more of you in order to sign up, right? But and here's the other thing, and this is so important, so please understand this. As with this last develop it, and most of you have done this, but you need to bring your device with you, because in order for us to see your endpoints run through Postman, all that setup I'm not going to do on your specific API. I can pull in the code, but you're going to need to bring your setup so that we can see that. That's a really important part of this code review. Okay, so make sure you bring in your own device, however that looks for you. Okay. So now is the time. I'm going to send this to an email. Now is the time for you to make sure you have everything you need to be successful here at the end, right? It's really before now, but so if you're waiting, now's the time to stop waiting and start coding. But many of you are, so I'm not really worried about that. But where I want to leave you with is this, is that, and we talked about this a little last night, next semester, there's a couple of you that did not take client side and jumped right into the class that we're taking now. Well, next semester, I'm offering JavaScript online 9 weeks in this course, right? So CIT 93. And then this is obviously a course you're taking right now, so not of interest to most of you. And then this is the course I've been plugging, trying to put the word out about, which is machine learning. And this is going to be in the classroom from, in this case, from 5:30. Is that right? 5:30 to 9:50. Okay. So, and some of you may ask, am I going to offer the kind of flexible attendance with this class? Well, that's a little harder with this class because it's the first time I've taught it. So where I can offer that, I will, but until I get further into working, and that's my summer project, is to work on this class. Now, so if you have questions about any of these classes, but specifically, I think I might hear from you because all of you enrolled would be perfect candidates for learning about machine learning. The one course I am leaning towards right now is actually a free course on Udacity for machine learning. I'm actually just starting it today because I'd actually thought of a different course I would use, but I'm really enjoying this one so far. It also uses something called Colab, which allows you to create basically Jupyter notebooks online, which if you don't know what that is, good reason to come. All right, so back to here. So I just wanted to give a plug for my classes for next semester. I appreciate any of you that did a review for me on Rate Your Professor because I don't have a lot of advanced classes students that have done that. And I just always appreciate your feedback. Always makes me better, your feedback. Okay, so if you have any questions about this video content or any of the changes I've done, please reach out to me. Remember, this schedule, it's because this schedule is in finals week. There's no redos, there's no do-overs. This is the, so if you have also other work that you haven't completed or that you got 0 on that you want to complete, I accept it late, but it has to be submitted before the end of code reviews. And that you can tell my last one is 8 o'clock on 5/22. Okay? All right. Have a great one, and I'll talk to you soon.